Welcome to Rumble 101. Today, we're going over a comprehensive guide to Crash Bandicoot, our failed mutated marsupial hero. If you are playing Crash Team Rumble, then this is the character that you all know and love, the legendary main character of this entire franchise, Crash Bandicoot. Crash is a durable scorer who can collect at a decent rate of speed, but also can fight and hold his ground very well. Crash's main ability, of course, is his iconic spin. This spin is used for just about everything, and I really do mean everything. If you press spin 3 times in a row, you do what's called a triple spin, doing more damage and giving Crash a little bit of a movement speed boost. Crash also has a classic belly flop, which allows him to smash the ground and knock back enemies around the target of impact, and anyone directly below will be squished and stunned for a few seconds. But if you wanted to make the target hurt even more, you can press belly flop twice to do a super belly flop, which increases the damage and range to squished enemies. Crash also has a slide attack that allows him to reposition himself. It's also a knockback to any enemies in the way. If you are in midair and press the slide button, Crash will do an aerial dash. It's not very far like Coco's, but it will save you from falling off of ledges. It also does damage to enemies like the slide and has a knockback, just not as much. Crash seems like he doesn't really have too much of a weakness, and that actually is partially true. Crash has a lot of tools to allow him to fight and score really easily, but Crash's shortfall is that he simply is not quite as mobile as other characters and other scorers, like Catbat or Tana, meaning he doesn't have as many ways of escape and can't pick up and turn in Wumpa as quickly as the other scorers. But for what he lacks in scoring potential, he makes up for in durability and Wumpa size. Crash by design is the easiest scorer to play, but just because he's easy, it doesn't mean that he doesn't have any tricks up his sleeve. Let's break down Crash Bandicoot's playstyle and some tips and tricks for this character. Like I said, Crash is a scorer, but he's not as fast and agile as the other scorers, but he makes up for it in sheer durability and power. So when a match begins, as always, make sure that your gem pad stations are locked in. Once you confirm that they are locked down, start collecting Wumpa or join your blocker and head to the enemy gem pad station or the neutral gem pad station. Now, I've already gone through and explained the different phases of the game that you go through when you're playing through my advanced guide through Rumble 101. If you want to check it out, I'll put a link at the end of the video or in the comment section below. Now, if you went to go help your blocker, once you either take over the second set of gem pads or your boost reaches about halfway through, then you go and start collecting and turning in Wumpa. From this point on in the match, your main focus still should be ways to turn in Wumpa Fruit without wasting time, along with relics at the epic relic stations. Crash should always keep an eye on where his ally blocker is and try to help out in skirmishes and fights if he can. On top of that, Crash should also keep an eye on where the enemy blocker is. If they are camping and patrolling his own bank, he should try to be able to remove them. Try and team up with another teammate to help get the blocker off or activate a defensive relic. You also can use this next move that is going to drive those blockers crazy, and that is his slide. Remember, in order to stop someone from turning in or activating a gem pad, you have to get them off of their feet with a knockback. Simply damaging the hero won't do anything. They have to not be touching the bank or gem pad. But here's the thing, Crash's slide allows him to reposition himself without jumping, while also dodging attacks that would knock him back. But because Crash is still in contact with the ground when he is sliding, it does not reset the timer on his turn-in. Not only that, but it can also be used to knock the enemy off the objective, while still turning in Wumpa or locking down gem pads or any other objective. So when you're Crash and someone is coming to your bank, just start spamming slide. Dodge their attacks, knock them off the bank, it drives them crazy. You also can body slam them to stun them and then slide to knock them off the platform. And lastly, Crash's air dash is also a knockback. So if you have to jump or you do get hit by an enemy and you get knocked back, don't be afraid to press the slide button right away to air dash and knock the enemy off. It doesn't do as much damage as a grounded slide, but it'll do the trick in knocking an enemy off an objective. Now, the following tips might sound familiar if you played Crash Bandicoot 4 and attempted to get the time relics. I was one of those psychopaths that actually got the Platinum Trophy for Crash Bandicoot 4 It's About Time. So these tips came pretty naturally. Again, while Crash doesn't have any equipment to help with his agility, like a hook shot or even wings, he still can zip across the map at pretty decent speeds. Remember that triple spin? Well, when you spin a second and third time, Crash actually gains momentum and speeds up, increasing his movement speed while moving. So when you're running around the map, you basically should be constantly and rhythmically tapping spin. You will zip around the map much faster in comparison to Crash just walking. Now, to keep the momentum and speed going even more, after each third spin, instead of resetting your momentum with a basic spin, slide and then spin. It might sound confusing, but once you practice this, you will see exactly what I mean. On top of that, Crash's slide also works great for short distances. For example, on certain gem pad sets, you actually can just slide to one or the other in rapid succession, allowing you to knock off enemies while also transitioning to take over other gem pads. For powers, I would suggest Wumpa for almost every situation. Crash can't cash in as quick as the other scorers, so having a Wumpa will help with that. But if you find that blockers are constantly causing you issues, then Greg the Gasmoxian Guard or Garbage Dump might be additional options for you. And that is my Crash Bandicoot Crash Team Rumble guide. I have many more guides for more characters coming soon, so subscribe to keep up to date. Also, you can check out my other videos on the screen right here. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video and or live stream. Bye bye!